grown up feeling like it was a privilege to get to do that, an honor to get to do that, and I felt like it was something I should do if I was able, and I decided to join the United States Army. I come from Pomona Park, Florida. I grew up, spent most of my time hunting and fishing. It was just a really big thing inside of my family. I never watched cartoons on Saturday mornings, I always watched hunting shows. I grew up on a cattle ranch, and it gave me a lot of opportunities to learn about it. I had some uncles and a lot of family friends that kind of mentored me along the way, taught me how to do the things. Seems a lot different than it is nowadays. I would just leave on my bike with a tackle box on one handle and fishing poles in the other, and head down the road to the lake and talk to neighbors, and they'd let you fish on their docks or anything like that. And just spent all my summers out there getting sunburned and catching fish. So as I was getting close to graduating high school, started kind of looking and thinking about what I was going to do with the rest of my life. I looked at a lot of the veterans in my family, especially my grandfather, who I'd always respected and looked up to, and just kind of started, I'd always grown up feeling like it was a privilege to get to do that, an honor to get to do that, and I felt like it was something I should do if I was able, and I decided to join the United States Army. It's kind of a crazy step where one day you're a kid in high school and 4 days later you're in the Army. It's a big adjustment in life, especially the first part of the Army is a really big adjustment in life. But it kind of instantly starts instilling responsibility and a lot of positive traits into you. You know, I went through all my initial training there at Fort Benning, went to airborne school. I was in the Army for 12 years, did 4 combat deployments between Iraq and Afghanistan. First time I went to Iraq, wasn't a terrible deployment. It was again, I was just a kid back then. It was a lot of growing up really fast, making a lot of really good friends. That's the other hard part is when you lose some of those friends on trips. And it's kind of things you didn't learn until later on. You know, it's how precious life is and how much, you know, every single person means. Because in the blink of an eye, they're gone. And being a leader in the Army, you're taught to be responsible for, you know, not just all the equipment, but all the people under you. And one really hard thing is when you lose people that are underneath you, that worked for you and that relied on you for everything, and just they trusted you, and there's just nothing you can do to help them. It's a hard feeling. It's a thing that sticks with you for a long time. In my time in the Army, it definitely wasn't all bad. I mean, there was a lot of good stuff. You know, there's the friends you make, you know, getting selected for promotion, graduating Ranger School, a lot of, you know, proud moments and strong moments. There's a lot of hard ones too that you just don't. There's no training or school that gets you ready for. It's part of it. You lose friends. You lose guys that work for you, and you know, they drive responsibility into you, and you just feel like a failure. And you know, when you lose a guy that works for you, there's no excuse for it in your mind, because you're always told there's no excuse for anything. And it's a thing that's really hard to talk about. You bottle it up for a long time, and when you do that, it just cooks inside you, eats away at you, and you forget who you are. It's really hard, and you lose ways to connect with people, and you just start locking yourself away, and you just isolate yourself off in a corner. You don't want to be around people, and what you need is ways to talk and to get it out, because if you don't get it out, it's going to come out one way or another. I met Dave Hintosh when I got invited to go on a moose hunt up in Maine, and which to me was unreal. And first, just get called up to go on a moose hunt. I never thought it was something I'd ever get a chance to go after. And got up there, and it was really cool because a couple of guys I'd served in combat were there. Tom Grove was up there, John Falconberry. It was nice to you know, see those guys and everybody after the fact doing good. But I also got to know Dave really well, who's over the years since then has become a great friend, good person, great guide, all around. Done a lot for me in my life. You know, since that first opportunity to go on that moose hunt, just building a relationship with Dave. I mean, like my wife got pregnant, Dave's one of the guys I told. You know, it's not just some guy that, you know, you go hunting with. It's like I say, it's relationships and friendships that mean something to you. And I say, as everything I've been doing, Veterans Afield, fishing trips, hunting trips, bringing all these veterans from different branches, different eras, different conflict. I mean, Korea, Vietnam, GWAT, bringing all those people together. And granted, every war is different, but there's certain shared struggles throughout those. And I was really fortunate this year. Dave gave me a call and he's like, "Hey, are you still short of Miriam's on your Grand Slam?" I was like, "Yep, for the last 15, 18 years, it's, you know, maybe one day." And he's like, what are you doing next month?" And well, nothing. And worked this out, and here I am in New Mexico. So flew in, met up with Mossy guys, hopped in a rental and headed straight down to the ranch. Beautiful, beautiful place. As soon as you get in there, you start seeing animals everywhere, antelope. Get to the cabin, and it was probably 45 minutes later, we were dressed up, ready to go, and headed out to look for turkeys. I spent the first afternoon kind of doing some scouting, a lot of riding, a lot of looking, trying to get a lay of the land, trying to figure out where the birds were at. Then that evening, right about dark, we went out to a spot to try and roost some birds. One of the guys let out a coyote call, and he answered right back. And then we kind of had a pretty good idea where to start the next morning.
Boom, straight up through there.
We got in here, ended up getting on the bird a little closer than we thought. It was still dark, and he's gobbling his head off already on the tree, and then we just kind of backed up a little bit and found us a good spot to set up. And we had a hen fly right over top of us, a bunch of hens talking. He was gobbling his head off, and he got just on the other side of this little group of cedars. We just kind of picked this one patch, and he flew down the one next to us. And I did a little morning feed around. He gobbled a whole bunch of times, and then he started his trek for the day. So we just got to try and get ahead of him. And that's another thing I learned about these Miriams is once they decide which way they're going to go, they're leaving and they ain't coming back. So after we got back in and had a lunch, Mr. Tom Asbo from Veterans Afield looked at the situation, and from everything he knows about this land and being on it several years, figured the best thing we could do was try to get back on that same bird from the morning hunt. And we're going to try and get in there and get between him and his roost and just see what we can get on. Well, it's the end of the first day. We started out not far from here. This is probably a pretty hot roosting area. Got set up. We're pretty ready to get after it. We're hoping we can catch them, or at least hear where they roost tonight, and have a good setup for in the morning if this doesn't work out. So wish us luck. So once we got into where we had set up on that bird that morning, we kind of looked at that line of brush that was in our way that morning, and we made sure we set up on the other side of it. And it was just a perfect, beautiful little meadow. I mean, we had a good plan in place. We looked at this is the best way to do it. And we got set down, got settled, got the decoy out. And right about 6 o'clock, a little after, thought I heard a gobble. Wasn't real sure. A couple minutes later, sounded off again. And now he's coming in, and he's coming fast from directly behind us.
I'm gonna yell to him. You got a good lane through there.
It was just the way the light was coming in, just that fan comes rolling in. This bird was at a strut from the first time I saw him all the way through. And he's sitting there and just strutting and drumming back and forth. It was gorgeous. I mean, the sun was setting off that way, and it was just coming in behind him. It's just those moments where it's just, it just looks so incredible just to watch him and hear him and see him interacting with him. And so he puts on a show anyway for a while. Seemed like it was 25, 30 minutes, but it was probably about a minute. And he finally, turned and just kept back and forth, and finally made his way in, and I was able to close it on my grand slam. Oh. Oh man, oh man. Just being able to enjoy it and watch them, and I mean, they're gorgeous animals. Just being able to watch them out there strutting around, the sun hitting them, how pretty and iridescent and reflective they are. And it's just always been a spot where I came back to, whether it's early on, midlife, now. It's a spot where no matter how, if I was having tough times, I could always go and it was just peaceful. This means a lot to me. It's I don't think Veterans Afield, and we're getting me out here to New Mexico for this. For me, this is my finishes my grand slam. I've been waiting to get to Merriam's for years now, and this finally let me do it, let me complete it. And this Veterans Afield for getting me out here in Mossy Oak, and just all the help and the patience and the hours put in. It definitely was not a quick or an easy hunt. Started yesterday afternoon, and here we are this afternoon, but that seems like 24 hours, but there's a lot of miles that go into that, and a lot of time and a lot of work. And I'm just thankful for the people that were grateful for the people that put me in this position. Just any troubles, any worries, you just gotta kind of let them fade away and just enjoy where you're at in that moment. Being in the woods, being on the water, just outdoors, enjoying it's always been a place that I come back to.
To Sergeant First Class Matthew Davis, thank you for your service. Everyone at Mossy Oak is honored to know you.